TCAS logic and tracking. The warning time is mainly based on the time to go, not distance to go, to the closest point of approach. The warning time includes an additional range protection in case of low closure rates. The range of scanning can be up to 30 nautical miles for Mode S transponders. For technical reasons, the system is most effective in situations where both aircraft are carrying Mode S transponders, but Mode aircraft transponders can also be interrogated. If a transponder does not supply altitude information, then resolution advisories cannot be generated, although the range and bearing information gathered by the system in relation to such an intruder will allow it to generate traffic advisories. Resolution advisory sense 1. The target's vertical speed is obtained by measuring the time it takes to cross successive 100 feet or 25 feet altitude increments. This depends upon the type of altitude coding transponder. 2. The collision avoidance logic uses the data from own aircraft's pressure altimeter to determine its altitude and vertical rate, and calculates the relative altitude of each target. 3. The outputs from the tracking algorithm are supplied to the traffic advisory and threat detection algorithms, which will determine if a target should be classified as an intruder or a threat. Resolution advisory sense. When a threat is declared, TCAS uses a two-step process to select an resolution advisory. Firstly, TCAS selects the sense of the resolution advisory, and then it determines the strength required. Using the results of the vertical and horizontal tracking, the logic models the intruder's path to the collision avoidance logic. The diagram above shows the paths that would result if an aircraft climbed or descended at 1,500 feet per minute. The collision avoidance logic computes the predicted vertical separation for each of the two cases and selects the sense which provides the greater vertical distance. Resolution advisory strength. The key word in relation to resolution advisory strength is the ALIM, vertical safe distance between aircraft. It varies from around 300 feet to 700 feet depending on altitude. The goal regarding resolution advisory strength is to achieve ALIM with the minimum possible disruption. Note that TCAS will try to find a solution that avoids altitude crossing where possible. TCAS achieves its goal of minimizing disruption by identifying a corridor of vertical speed normally 500 feet per minute wide, within which the pilot should fly, as well as emphasizing the vertical speeds to avoid. The importance of pilots accurately following resolution advisories must be emphasized. Resolution advisory sense. During the course of an encounter, TCAS constantly monitors the conflict geometry. In addition, advisory strength is continuously evaluated and modified resolution advisories are given. Typically, as a threat diminishes, pilots may be told to reduce vertical speed. Occasionally a threat aircraft may maneuver vertically in a manner that thwarts an resolution advisory. The pilot will then have to either increase vertical speed, for example from 1,500 to 2,500 feet per minute, or even reverse the sense of the maneuver. Only one sense reversal is possible during a single conflict.
Adjust vertical speed. Adjust. Clear of conflict.
TCAS, Resolution Advisory Coordination. In a TCAS encounter, each aircraft transmits interrogations to the other via the Mode S data link in order to ensure the selection of complementary resolution advisories. Coordination interrogations use the same 1030 and 1090 MHz channels as surveillance interrogations and are transmitted at least once per second by each aircraft for the duration of the resolution advisory. The basic rule for sense selection in a TCAS encounter is that before selecting a sense, each TCAS must check if it has received an intent from the threat. If this is so, TCAS complies with the threat to aircraft expectations. If not, TCAS selects the sense which best fits the encounter geometry. TCAS 1 detects a threat. The system checks to see if it has received any declaration of intent from TCAS 2. Resolution Advisory Coordination TCAS 1 finds no declared intent and determines the sense for the conflict resolution based on the encounter geometry. TCAS 1 also transmits a coordinating message to TCAS 2 declaring its intent and prohibits TCAS 2 from issuing an resolution advisory in the same sense. Resolution Advisory Coordination TCAS 2 then detects the threat from TCAS 1. It selects the opposite sense, since it has knowledge of TCAS 1's intent to confirm its complementary intent. It will also prohibit TCAS 1 from maneuvering in the same sense. After coordinating, each TCAS unit independently selects the resolution advisory's strength in relation to the conflict geometry. Each aircraft continues to transmit coordination interrogations as long as the other is still regarded as a threat. Resolution Advisory Coordination in the vast majority of cases, the two aircraft see each other as threats at slightly different moments in time. However, the two aircraft may happen to see each other as a threat simultaneously and, therefore both select a sense based on the encounter geometry. In this case, there is a probability that both will select the same sense. Should this happen, the aircraft with the higher mode S address will detect the incompatibility and will reverse its sense before issuing the resolution advisory coordination.